Hey guys, I'm Jisoo, and you've probably already seen me in class or like looming around in the Zoom chat, but I'm a recent graduate and I'll just be going through my old project today. Um, so maybe let's have a watch of it first.
In this area, this is where we did our food gathering and fish, and we shared everything with non-Aboriginal people.
All right, you're back. I hope you enjoyed it. Back then the brief was a little bit different, so we were allowed to choose our own excerpt, and I chose Uncle Greg's Back on Country. It was a bit of a reflection on his childhood, on growing up in La Perouse, and on sharing food with non-Aboriginal people. So the short excerpt that I chose was, in this area, this is where we did our food gathering and fish, and we shared everything with non-Aboriginal people. And so let's talk about concept. So when you're thinking of your concept, obviously for your project, your concept is coming a lot from your research around La Perouse and your own research, secondary research that you've done. And how to apply this to your motion is to always think about your why. Like, why are you choosing a certain typeface over another? Why are you inserting a certain element? Every decision you make has to lead towards pushing forward your concept and story. My concept was the sharing of culture through food. So the story of Uncle Greg sharing his sandwiches as a school kid particularly resonated with me, as I used to share all my food with all my non-Korean friends at school, and in turn my friends would also share some of their food with me. In Korean, there's a quote that says 밥 먹으면서 정든다, and it means people who eat together create a connection or a bond. I'm not really sure that the brief is that personal anymore. I think it's a lot more research based. So really consolidate on your research and pull out key things that will really drive forward your concept and your story. And yeah, I think when you think about creating a concept, it's not like I will add in a crow, an illustration of a crow, because Uncle Greg talks about a crow. But it's like, I want to add in this texture or this type or this typeface to evoke this feeling or this mood, or to reflect this voice, or to move forward this idea. So think about it in that way. So yeah, let's go on to making. With any piece of design that I do, I try to expel all the bad ideas out of my body by making them. So I just make lots and lots of poop, and then through making lots of poop, you find a lot of ideas and a lot of little things that you want to move forward with. So in my first storyboard, I've really honed in on this idea of connection and of this like continuum in the story. So clearly there's a start, a middle, and the end, and a single element is kind of moving along these and finishing off in this idea of connection and with the little heart and hands. And they're not the strongest storyboards in that you can't really see the movement that's happening. You can't really see what's actually driving these shapes to change. But I really just wanted to enunciate the idea that this blob is the visual metaphor for connection and of sharing, and it kind of transforms into different things as it moves along the sequence. And every part of the sequence comes together at the end, where Uncle Greg says shared everything with non-Aboriginal people, and it all comes together at the end. So there's a clear beginning, middle, and an end, and it flows like a narrative. And here you see my second iteration of the storyboard on the left, and I translated this into an animatic, which will come up now.
In this area, this is where we did our food gathering and fish, and we shared everything with non-Aboriginal people.
As you can see, I very quickly realised that I had way too many things going on in the short amount of time that I had, and nothing was really communicating clearly. So I drew up another storyboard, which you can see on the right, and that cut out a lot of unnecessary motion elements and just really honed in on the important aspects of my storyboard. Then I move on to doing some star frames and some motion testing. So if I want to explain my star frames a little bit, I wanted to go for a very painterly, illustrative look. The story is quite raw and it's a reflection on childhood, so I wanted the style to be quite whimsical, and it's a very close and personal story, so I wanted the visuals to reflect that. And in Korean culture, again, there's something called 손맛, which means hand taste, and it's like the sincerity and the love that someone puts into a meal that they make for you. It's made with their hands, so I wanted to add that in through using collage hands rather than illustrative ones, and really push forward this idea that I'm in this story of sharing culture through food. I'm sharing my culture through my food and the connotations around it. Yeah, these are a couple of my star frames, and then I did some motion tests to reflect them.
In this area, this is where we did our food gathering and fish, and we shared everything with non-Aboriginal people.
From here, it's just a crap ton of storyboards and iteration. I thought, how can I further integrate Uncle Greg's story but continue to include and infuse my personal response? So I thought of kimchi jjigae, which is a Korean dish with fish in it, and it's a dish that is in one pot and is shared with everyone. Everyone eats from the same pot. I made a new storyboard that kind of tells the story of the making of this dish. So all of the elements come in food gathering, and then the fish is caught and chopped, and then the soup is made and then served and shared. And this is the new animatic that goes with that.
In this area, this is where we did our food gathering and fish, and we shared everything with non-Aboriginal people.
I just wanted to take some time to talk about After Effects and motion. In my particular animation, obviously I was in the same position as you guys. I had very little knowledge of After Effects, and I was very doubtful of my ability to create something very intricate. So I focused a lot on making style frames that were strong and that drove forward my idea of sharing culture through food. And all the motion that is in this piece is really, really simple. I just use like the basic keyframes: position, rotation, scale, a little bit of a wobbly effect, and I think I used about 2 masks, and that was pretty much all I used. So thank you so much for watching. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me at this email address, or if you're in Gabe's class, I am on Teams, and feel free to ask me any questions. And thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful.